I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. In our last reading, we were reading about the Assyrian invasion. In the 7th year of Hezekiah, the northern kingdom is taken captive. In the 14th year, Assyria invades Judah. Hezekiah tries to appease them, but they still come through an attack or besiege Jerusalem, and their captains call out, mocking Hezekiah, mocking God, telling the Jews, no other kingdom has been able to defend themselves against us. Their gods failed them, your God's going to fail you, so just give up and surrender now. But the Jews didn't answer him because Hezekiah told them not to. And that's where we're left off. So now we're going to pick this up. We're turning to 2 Chronicles now. Because again, Chronicles and Kings tell a parallel story. And this will be 2 Chronicles chapter 32. We're going to read verses 1 through 23. Sennacherib invades Judah and besieges her cities. He rails against the Lord. Isaiah and Hezekiah pray, and an angel destroys the leaders of Assyrian armies. Hezekiah reigns in righteousness despite some faults. After these things and the establishment thereof, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came and entered into Judah and encamped against the fenced cities, and thought to win them for himself. And when Hezekiah saw that Sennacherib was come, and that he was purposed to fight against Jerusalem, he took counsel with his princes and his mighty men to stop the waters of the fountains which were without the city, and they did help him. So there was gathered much people together, who stopped all the fountains and the brook that ran through the midst of the land, saying, Why should the kings of Assyria come and find much water? Also he strengthened himself and built up all the wall that was broken, and raised it up to the towers, and another wall without, and repaired Millo in the city of David, and made darts and shields in abundance. And he set captains of war over the people, and gathered them together to him in the street of the gate of the city, and spake comfortably to them, saying, Be strong and courageous, be not afraid nor dismayed for the king of Assyria, nor for all the multitude that is with him, for there be more with us than with him. With him is an arm of flesh, but with us is the Lord our God to help us and to fight our battles. And the people rested themselves upon the words of Hezekiah, king of Judah. Okay, so I like that. Now, there's a couple of things going on here. First of all, in Chronicles, the last thing we read was the Great Passover in the 1st year of Hezekiah. In Kings, it tells us that this invasion of Sennacherib comes in the 14th year of Hezekiah. So in Chronicles, we get this 13-year time jump. But Hezekiah is preparing himself. Now remember, he does, when Sennacherib's army invades the southwest of Judah, Hezekiah sends him money, silver and gold as tribute. He tells, look, we'll pay you the tribute, just leave us alone. But they take the money and they still come to besiege Jerusalem. While waiting for the army to come, Hezekiah's not just sitting there hoping they don't come. He's preparing. He prepares his army, but he also says that he stops all the waters, and he channels the stream. He's blocking up all the wells. He's covering them in. He's filling them in. He's diverting the stream into the city of Jerusalem. He's making it so that when the army of Assyria comes, there will be no water for them. All the water will be in Jerusalem. In this way, it'll be harder for them to set up a siege because they will have to ship in water from somewhere else. It's actually a rather brilliant idea. And he says he tells the people to trust in the Lord. And in 2 Kings, we're told that he commanded the people not to respond to the Assyrians. But here we're told, I think this is about the same time that he said that. He said not to respond to it, but he's telling them more. He's saying, we trust in the Lord, so don't fear the Assyrians, because they trust in men. Let us continue this. Verse 9. After this did Sennacherib, king of Assyria, send his servants to Jerusalem, but he himself laid siege against Lachish, and all his power with him, unto Hezekiah, king of Judah, and unto all Judah that were at Jerusalem, saying, Thus saith Sennacherib, king of Assyria, Whereon do ye trust that ye abide in the siege of Jerusalem? Doth not Hezekiah persuade you to give over yourselves to die by famine and by thirst, saying, The Lord our God shall deliver us out of the hand of the king of Assyria? Hath not the same Hezekiah taken away his high places and his altars, and commanded Judah and Jerusalem, saying, Ye shall worship before one altar, and burn incense upon it? Know ye not what I and my fathers have done unto all the people of other lands? Were the gods of the nations of those lands anyways able to deliver their lands out of mine hand? Who was there among all the gods of those nations that my fathers utterly destroyed, that could deliver his people out of mine hand, that your God should be able to deliver you out of mine hand? Now therefore let not Hezekiah deceive you, nor persuade you on this manner. Neither yet believe him, for no God of any nation or kingdom was able to deliver his people out of mine hand, and out of the hand of my fathers. How much less shall your God deliver you out of mine hand? And his servant spake yet more against the Lord God, and against his servant Hezekiah. He wrote also letters to rail on the Lord God of Israel, and to speak against him, saying, As the gods of the nations of other lands have not delivered their people out of mine hand, so shall not the God of Hezekiah deliver his people out of mine hand. Then they cried with a loud voice in the Jews' speech unto the people of Jerusalem that were on the wall, to affright them and to trouble them, that they might take the city. And they spake against the God of Jerusalem, as against the gods of the people of the earth, which were the work of the hands of men. And for this cause Hezekiah the king and the prophet Isaiah the son of Amoz prayed and cried to heaven. Now, this is basically what we read in 2 Kings. He sends his men to mock and ridicule God and Hezekiah to persuade the people. He's trying to crush morale and get them to surrender without having to fight them. Because Jerusalem was a fairly strong fortress at the time. Not that it couldn't be taken, but it was a strong fortress. And so if you could get them to surrender, it would be better than actually having to fight. But it's basically what we read in 2 Kings. Now, it does say this is a little interesting in that the army has divided itself. And King Sennacherib himself is leading the siege of the city of Lachish, which is the second largest city in Judah. Jerusalem being the capital is the largest, and Lachish is the second largest. The last thing I want to mention here is it talks about Hezekiah stopping the waters. Now, there is a place known as Hezekiah's Tunnel, and this is a rather remarkable engineering. And what it is the spring of Gihon. This was a natural spring just outside the city, probably part of the Kidron, the Brook of Kidron system here. And as he was stopping up all the water, what Hezekiah did, he had his men dig a tunnel under the walls of Jerusalem that would divert the spring of Gihon into the city and feed the pool of Siloam. Yeah, however you pronounce that. But that tunnel is still used today. And it caused the natural spring to flow into the city instead of into the Brook Kidron. So I just wanted to make mention of that because that's always fascinated me that it's almost 2,000 feet long. So just under half a mile. And they did this with pickaxes and they dug from both ends. And they didn't go in a straight line. They went in a kind of a zigzag pattern, and yet they still met up at the same spot, both ends. But we will continue our reading. We are actually going to turn to Isaiah next, because Isaiah tells the same story. We're going to be going kind of Isaiah and 2 Kings and Chronicles a little bit, as they all tell parallel stories. So we will see you there.